Zdravstvuyte, bitches, and welcome back. This show is the JK with your pals Keith and Jason, once again out on the veranda for the Tuesday audio-only version of the show. Welcome back. Great to be with you. We hope you enjoyed last Saturday's broadcast, a return to form for us. We finally finished up the conspiracy theory bracket with no actual criteria.
It was Sunday.
I think looking back on that, I would have... It was Sunday, right? I would have gone back and said... Which one of these just is the most outstanding bullshit theory?
Yeah,
I mean, which one has the most compacted bullshit in it?
That's kind of what I went with.
That was a soda, by the way. Don't get crazy.
That was kind of what I went with this past Sunday. Was the most bullshit.
I think most people did, but it threw our regular guessers off pretty wildly.
Did we figure out who won?
No, that person has not turned themselves in yet. But if you are that person, you won, and you're listening to this podcast, please let us know. It's easy to go back, check the predictions. Yours is on top, and I will, work with the vendor to fucking mail out the T-shirts, which is still a bit of a problem, and I apologize for that. But in any case, thank you for listening. We appreciate it. Thank you for supporting the show. We are here twice a week on Tuesdays and usually Saturdays. Oh, I think that's going to change. We both got some interesting schedule changes coming up. So we're going to have to decide if we even want to do twice a week or we just want to stick to the Tuesday audio for now. And then maybe figure out something else out for another time. This show, we've got a few things coming up, but just want to let you know ahead of time now that the quiz for Keith that I am administering to him like a scalpel to the stomach is, for the 9 questions about Cowboys wide receivers. And I come up with really good questions, so this will be tough for Keith.
And too. No time to study for it.
No, that was...
He literally made up the questions like 3 minutes ago.
But you and Stefan are giant fucking Cowboys fans.
We are, but that doesn't mean neither one of us are just anal about it.
Yeah.
We're not. But
that's true. I don't think any of us are that anal
we'll
anymore.
See.
I still love the Raiders, but I'm not that anal about it anymore. So it's been a busy week. COVID has kind of been in a neutral state. We started this podcast to talk about COVID, so we might as well lead off with a bit of that. Although
school started.
The part of France that my wife and I traveled to a few weeks ago has dipped into the red. That is the Côte d'Azur down in Nice and down near
Marseille
and all of that.
Yeah.
And I saw a bee. I got distracted. So all that's been turned red, and Paris is red right now. So
yes.
Unfortunately for our friend Rhonda, that means she's not going to be able to probably visit for a bit. But we'll still keep collecting your packages, Rhonda. Don't worry about that. So that's what's going on. Locally, school started, kind of, 2 days into the school season, and Dee Dee has worked her ass off both days. It's been organized chaos for sure, but she's definitely worked both, and she's crashing out right now as we speak. So it's a busy day for her and Annabelle, and so, but... orderly chaos. Again, the schools seem to be doing it right here so far, so I'm proud of that. I'm proud my wife is part of that. Nothing else really militarily, right?
Well, no, not militarily. I went with the garrison commander yesterday to several schools. It was very unique to be inside as an outsider, right. Literally, being inside and seeing how they're socially distancing. The kids, anytime they get up and walk around from their desk, they have to put the mask on. If they go to the bathroom, they have to put the mask on. If they're going to the pencil sharpener, do they still have pencil sharpeners?
They do. My wife just bought one for her class. It's awesome, by the way. I wish she bought it for upstairs.
They have to put their mask on. But if they're sitting in their seat, which is, you are just a 1970s commercial right there. If they're sitting in their seat, which is strategically positioned to be socially distanced by the necessary requirements from other students, they do not have to have their mask on.
Right.
So one thing, I was in Vogelway Elementary School, which is, last year was the first year this school opened. It's magnificent for an elementary school. And
you would have never said that if you were like 8. This is a magnificent school you have brought me.
But where do you think I learned the word magnificent?
Good point.
So, I mean, it's fantastic. It's modern. It has the pods instead of individual classrooms. They can move the walls around and that kind of thing.
Right.
So, but with all that technology, the whiteboards, the things they have for the new technology, what do they use to make sure the students, the kids, because these are kindergarten through fifth graders, what do they use to keep social distancing? a freaking swimming noodle.
Nice. Hey, you do what works, right?
It works. It's something they recognize. It's something they know. Hey, you're not far enough away, or you're too close.
As a person who actually moved a classroom to that configuration and helped move those chairs for Dee Dee's classroom, I know exactly what you're talking about. They're spaced 6 feet apart, ass to ass, and so it's a good deal. Like my wife's class only has 12 kids. So
that's nice.
Yeah. So it's a different class. So they're taking care of the kids. They're really thinking about it. There's a lot of things in place. So that's very cool. I mean, it's good that you got to see it and all that stuff. But other than that, nothing too crazy. I mean, the PCS moves go on, right?
The PCS moves go on. There's still, if you come to Germany, if you are coming to Germany from the States, you will quarantine.
Yeah, that's it. Whether you have a test or not, you're going to quarantine. And a lot of people have asked me about that even on my Facebook page, and our Facebook page too, which is, hey, look, I've done this, Well, you can do all the square dance moves you want before you get here, but you're going to quarantine for 14 days. My friend Yvonne and Mario and their family are quarantining down in Stuttgart right now, but they knew they were going to have to do it.
Right.
And we get an update from them every 7 minutes on Facebook.
The kids are driving me crazy.
Here's the windowsill. Here is the cat. Here is me playing Minecraft. I love it all, believe me, but it's just fun to watch.
I was in an eating establishment, a fast food establishment, on one of our nearby installations, and they had a thing taped to the counter that said, if you are just arriving, please adhere to this memorandum and get your food to go. And immediately my thought is, what in the fuck are they doing there in the first place if they're quarantined?
Yeah.
I try not to drop
the wrong
F-bomb.
memorandum. Yeah, you're not.
Yeah.
So the rule with quarantine, as we understand it, is you're supposed to be in the room. Now, if you have a dog, generally you'll be TLF'd, temporary lodging, into a place that has a space where you can take your dog out. I think it's a shared space, though, so you have to kind of watch if somebody's out there or whatever. But that's it. You're in the room. And I think we've addressed this on the previous show, but your sponsor is really the one who is your lifeline. It's supposed to bring you food. It's supposed to anything that's extraneous to your room, they're the ones who are supposed to be out getting it. Mail, order, anything like that. You're not supposed to do anything for 14 days. And it's tough. It's strange, but that's the way it is. So it's been we don't know. We get these sort of other pejorative questions like, are people really quarantining? And we're not babysitters. So, they're adults, so it's up to them to be quarantining, and that's you can ask that question. But
I know there's one installation that has a playground set aside for quarantining families, so they can take their kids out,
which I think is a great idea. The playground is absolutely set up that way.
Right.
They did a very good job of putting the rubric in. Yeah, that's a really cool thing. I want to talk about what Keith's shirt says right now, and I'm saying this to lead to something else. His shirt, he's wearing I think it's a golf shirt because he doesn't work out. So it says "Stay Army, Strong Fires." Now, if you don't know anything about the Army, you're like, the fuck? Why we need strong fires? I'm not asking for an explanation. So
it's Stay Army Strong.
Stay Army Strong Fires. So he came from a place at Fort Sill where the Fires headquarters is.
Fire Center of Excellence.
Now explain what Fires is to the layman.
Fires to the layman is anything that the combatant, the ground pounder, the infantry can call in for help. Artillery, air defense artillery, anything that helps the combatant commander move forward in the battle. So the artillery, Fort Sill is the home of field artillery. It's also the home, or schoolhouse, if you will, of the air defense artillery. Right. So that's what makes up Fires.
What Fires?
So
anyway, I read his shirt. It says "Stay Army Strong Fires." Now, I get that it says "Stay Army Strong."
Right.
Fires, right?
Right.
But it says "Stay Army Strong Fires." But
got the field artillery.
As I'm reading his shirt tonight, and all of our Air Force listeners will remember Large Package Week in Air Mobility Command, and they continued to call it Large Package Week for the longest. I think they still call it that. I think they had Small Package Week, Large Package Week, and I'm pretty sure they knew that it was called that and the innuendo that it had. And every year,
That scares
when
me.
Air Mobility would do the publicity on AF.mil or wherever it was, it would come up and say, it's large package week. And, maybe it was like part of the Air Mobility rodeo or something like that. But large package week. And I would just laugh and laugh and laugh. And then I see your shirt. It reminded me, Stay Army Strong Fires. That's like large package week. It's one of those things like if you're in the club, it makes perfect sense to you, right? Oh, it's fires and it's this. And you stay Army Strong because Army Strong is our motto from a million years ago. And large package week, well, that makes sense because when you load a something on a C-130, there are large packages and there are small packages and da-da-da-da. But, large package week now is just an allusion to Pornhub. That's all it is. And how do they not know this? Maybe they've changed it by now, but I don't think so.
We need... so one of these Saturday or Sunday nights or whatever we decide, we need to have large package night. I don't know exactly
Large
what we would.
package night.
I don't know what we would do.
We'll just invite all of our Air Mobility Command friends over, and we'll go, okay, it's large package night. The hell do we do?
We're not comparing anything.
Did you see that picture of our friend Julie shooting the M4 looking like a badass?
I did.
That's a pretty good deal. She must have some special ops friends down there.
I know it, right?
That's not bad. That's
that is Stuttgart, isn't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind shooting some rounds on.
I miss my guns. I really, really do. I was thinking about that last night, Sunday night.
Yeah.
About how I think what happened was something came up on my memories on my Facebook page, and I thought, oh man, I would love to go put some rounds down range right now.
I love shooting at a firing range. My friend Brian Rothwell took me out a couple times when we were in Augusta, and I was always thankful for that. I enjoy firing weapons. I don't own any weapons. I wouldn't. But I definitely enjoy it. I enjoyed going to the shooting range when I was in the Air Force. So, it's bring your large package week to that or whatever, But it was a cool photo. It was neat to see that. Our friend John Benuzowitz officially retired.
Wow.
We talked a little bit about that on Sunday, but now we're starting to feel the effects of that because I just don't think we're getting as many Facebook posts, John, as we usually do. Though he said he's catching up on the podcast today. So.
He's one of our biggest supporters.
He is.
He really is.
He even mentioned. So I did a small speech during the event, and Jake Richmond was very nice to include me on that. And then at the end, John thanked me, and then he said, "Don't forget to listen to Jason's cool podcast."
Oh, wow.
So he plugged the podcast during the retirement, Sony. It was wonderful. Thank you.
There's two of us, but okay.
I know.
Thanks, Coach.
That's what I
Thanks, Coach.
But I thought it was pretty cool that he plugged the podcast. Now, what about this poll you were talking about before we started, as we sort of shift over to sports?
Yeah. Just before we get to that, those of a certain age will remember a commercial from the early 80s.
Late 70s,
Late
early
70s, early 80s. And I can't remember what was dipped into the peanut butter.
Hershey bar, I think.
A Hershey bar dipped into peanut butter. And Jason is the embodiment of that commercial right now. He's got Cotador.
Yep.
Okay.
Gold Coast.
Gold Coast.
Authentic French chocolate from the French supermarket.
With almonds.
I think they're peanuts, actually,
Okay.
like honey roasted peanuts.
And it was Reese's. It was because your chocolate got in my peanut butter.
That's what it was.
Your peanut butter got on my chocolate.
Right. That's
yeah,
what
it was Reese's. That was an old Reese's commercial, but he's making his homemade Reese's right now.
Right, and so I'm dipping it in Jif extra crunchy peanut butter as you look for your poll, and there's a story about this. So my wife and I have been married for 15 years, a little more than 15 years now. We just celebrated our 15th anniversary. And about 4 months ago, we were at the grocery store, and I said, I'd really like to get extra crunchy peanut butter this time. Is that okay with you? She's like, yeah, I love extra crunchy peanut butter. I said, well, why haven't you been buying it? She goes, I thought you liked creamy peanut butter. I'm like, I love it. So we basically fell in love again because we found out we both liked extra crunchy peanut butter. And this has been seriously, it was like a Righteous Brothers song. It was really cool. So anyway, we sort of fell in love again over extra crunchy.
That's awesome.
Butter. All right, so we're going to do a little sports here, and then we mentioned that the quiz at the end of the show is on the Cowboys wide receivers.
So the preseason Associated Press college football poll is out.
All right.
And number one, you remember who ended the season?
Notre Dame.
No. Do you remember who ended the season at number one? Who won the national championship?
LSU, I believe.
LSU. They are number 6.
Holy shit.
Which is where they started last year, by the way.
It's interesting.
Clemson is number 1.
Because of Trevor Lawrence and his magic hair?
Yeah, I guess. his girlishly handsome good looks.
Bill Belichick in waiting.
So Clemson is number
It's a great
one.
rumor this year.
Ohio State is number 2.
I'm nodding. Yes, that's fair.
Big Ten. Let's come back to that. Put a pin in that.
Because they're not playing.
Because they're not playing.
At the moment.
Alabama is number 3 at Greenbow, Alabama.
Alabama.
Georgia is number 4.
They're always like 4 or 6 or 5. Yeah.
Oklahoma is number 5.
Okay.
LSU is 6. Penn State is 7.
Wow.
Florida is 8. Oregon is 9. And the aforementioned Golden Domers are number 10.
I missed that USC is not in the top 10. That pisses me off.
They
It
are
is the state of things.
number
Oh,
17.
wait, but they're not playing either.
Yeah. So let me go back and read this because we've alluded to it. That top 10 and, of course, the top 20 include teams from the Pac-10, the Big Sky Conference, the Big Ten, which have already said they're not playing football this year.
Right.
So no matter what happens on the field, the next AP poll this season will look different. Though voters were able to consider all division teams in the preseason poll, voters can only rank teams that are scheduled to play going forward.
What they voted for teams that are not playing. I mean, USC's ranked in the top 25.
From now on, they can only schedule. The teams have to play. So the next poll will come out, what is it, 2 weeks after the start of the season? So teams in the Big Ten, the Pac-12, the MAC, and the Mountain West, like Utah, along with other schools that aren't playing this fall because of COVID-19, will not be in the AP poll the rest of the season. So why put them in now?
Because they have to do something with that talent book that they get at the 4 months ago where they recruit high school kids.
Yeah.
And like cattle, they have to sort of rate them all and say, this herd of cattle is better than this herd of cattle, right? So I think there has to be something done with that. And it's one of those sort of, it's a podcast thing, right? We're sitting here reading on our podcast this poll. You okay?
Oh, yeah.
Keith has to go to a rehearsal like immediately after we're done recording, so he keeps looking at his watch.
No, I just like my iWatch.
That's what I figured. But anyway, it's just one of those things where, they evaluate all the talent and they say, these are based on talent alone, here's what they think. I think, bold opinion, I think you're going to start seeing over the next couple weeks conferences getting FOMO, fear of missing out. And I think you're going to see conferences start to play. There have already been NFL teams, just as an aside, who have said they're going to let fans in the stadiums. 20% of the seats are going to get filled at certain stadiums.
I had not heard that.
I don't remember which one it was I saw today, but in my head I was like, I'm okay with that as long as they're distanced and they're not trying to cram them all through the gate at the same time.
Right.
I think there are some precedences already being set. I don't have any issue if people are sitting, say, 5 seats apart or whatever. Whatever, fine, good. I just wonder who's going to get the tickets. If there's X number of season ticket holders. If they're saying 20% of 60,000 is 12,000, and there are 25,000 season ticket holders, what's the rank and file, right? Or does that even count this year, or whatever? But in any case, sort of back to your topic. So based on those sorts of things and the fact that SEC is rolling forward, I think ACC is moving forward. I forget the other conference that's moving forward.
Big 12.
Big 12 is moving forward. I think those other conferences are going to be like, we acted a little quickly. We're going to go ahead and do this plan and play. I may be wrong, but on the other hand, there are some things that, again, in the States sort of predicate the notion that, they can play these games, certain gatherings or whatever, and until people start dropping dead or whatever, then they'll continue to play. I think at this point, I don't necessarily disagree with the idea of putting people in the stands. I don't necessarily disagree with the idea of playing. Although, strangely enough, an NFL player supposedly popped positive. They sent it to the lab. And then the headline I was reading as I was sort of half-assed watching the Cubs-Tigers replay on AFN, the thing below it said, negative test result as a result of corrupted sample in the lab, which sounds like PR speak for, Yeah, it probably was a positive sample, but we're not going to really say that so we can continue with the season. Now, and I'm not calling the NFL a liar, not at all, but in PR speak, that says something else to me. So if they have I don't know who's been the biggest culprit. I think baseball really has been the biggest culprit with positive tests, I think.
Right.
Baseball and MLS. Basketball, not so much. But in general, I think there hasn't been a lot of headlines saying players are sick, people associated with the venues are sick. Started out that way, but then they sort of refined it. So I think they've got a handle on how to conduct sports, the bubble thing, or however they're doing it. I think putting people in the stands at a very limited sort of rate where everybody's spaced apart, like some weird Art Deco installation at Central Park, I think is fine as long as those people stay that. I think there's going to be a demand, like at baseball stadiums, to sit close. And are they going to allow all those people to sit together? I mean, especially if they pay a premium. But again, I think that's a lot to be decided there. But the poll is interesting, and I think that's the only reason why I have the poll is they just looked at all the cattle and said, your herd's great, your herd's great, your herd's great.
They had a great recruiting class.
And then as they start to play, they'll go, okay, these are the teams that can actually go to the playoff, right?
I'm still not convinced we're going to have college football season, especially as we all know, one positive test can wipe out a receiving corps.
One positive test can wipe out a team.
A team,
yes. Defense. If you're all on a pile and you're breathing heavy and sweating on each other, breathing specifically. But I think there's some. From these sorts of times comes interesting innovation, and I heard they were working on different kinds of face masks and other things to do that. You're listening to this show as a JK with your pals Powell and Tudor. It's a return to Powell. I hadn't said that in a while, but he got called Parnell by someone a couple of days ago, which he's totally used to. I'm like, well, we got to put Parnell.
I never heard that story, by the way. We can do it off the air.
Which one?
How Parnell came to be?
It was a typo, I think.
Oh, okay.
But we hadn't resurrected Powell in a while, so I hadn't called the show Powell and Pals in a while, so maybe for the next show we'll do that. You can find us on iTunes, on Spotify, and all the other great places. We're easy to find. We would appreciate if you subscribe. We appreciate, Keith was going over the numbers before we started. We had big numbers for the last show watch, so we very much appreciate that.
Yes.
That the video show appears to be a hit, so it appears you like us fat guys, well, me and him, reclining back in recliners and talking about dumb shit. So we'll continue to do that as often as we can. But right now, I think we're sort of taking a mulligan on the Saturday show and trying to figure out where to place it. So I promise you by next week we'll have some conclusion on that, and either we'll stick it on a Friday or we'll figure out his rehearsal schedule and maybe modify more toward that, or we'll go once a week or something like that. But either way, we appreciate that you've been along for 2 shows. We've done 41 shows, and I apologize I haven't put the Saturday audio up. But again, you can go watch it online, so it's not like it's not there.
Could be lazy.
But this one will go up right up afterward, right? And do that. So
yeah, our schedules just within the last few weeks have gotten busy.
Goddamn socialized.
Well, it's and one of the things. Well, my main thing is for those of you that don't know, I'm in a musical play now, a comedy.
Disaster.
It's called Disaster. It's hilarious, and I know 99.9% of you won't be able to see this show here in Kaiserslautern, but one of the things I did last night that made me laugh hard was musical rehearsal, learning the songs, and or some of the songs, and I'm always intimidated by that because I can do karaoke when the words are in front of me, but learning the songs is one thing.
Or as a former radio colleague of mine used to call it all the time, Kanoki.
Kanoki, yes.
Kanoki.
But I went up because one of the things is, okay, I was going to have a porn stash.
Whoa, yeah, that's right.
And that I decided probably wouldn't work because I watched a bootleg copy of the Hollywood.
Like The Hobbit? What?
No, the Broadway production of the show. And this part of my character's mustache gets burned off every show. So if I grew a porn stash, it would work once. And then I wouldn't be able to grow another one back because, so I'm going to forego the porn stash and try the lamb chops.
That's a good one. Lamb chops are very 70s.
And that way they
early 70s, but they can carry.
Yeah, and that way they can, we can use a rip-away mustache So when my face gets burned by one of the disasters.
The first time Keith and I talked about the porn stash, we were texting. And so I was doing something. I was in the middle of something pretty frantic at work or something like that.
I think you were driving.
Maybe I was. I don't think so, but he said, yeah, I was. But we'd pull over to a rest stop or something. So I was looking at messages. He says, got to tell you about the porn stash. And I said, he must have did it with his voice because it was spelled S-T-A-S-H. And I'm like, is he going to tell me about his stash of porn, or he found out someone has a stash of porn? So I was like, what is it? You got to tell me. And then he goes, mustache, dumbass, mustache. And I'm like, oh, because the way it came across was somebody just got busted with a big stash of porn or something. And I was like, okay, that's not what it was. So that was.
And we circled back around to Pornhub now.
Somehow they should start paying us for ads. But
wow.
Right, so you got the porn stash, and you've got the person who has a bit of fame in my daughter's life.
Yes,
you know, right?
Yeah, we've talked about. No, she's the makeup artist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's the makeup person. So the costumer called me up to her domain and said, "Try this on," and she hands me this emerald green silk shirt.
It already sounds amazing.
Oh, and it felt so good when I put it on.
I bet.
But then she said, put on this dark blue suit. The suit actually looks pretty good even today.
Yeah.
But I put this on. She said, remember, put the collar on the outside. So I flipped up the collar and laid it back down on the outside. Collar. And I walk out, Johnny Watts style, and she goes, and in her beautiful British accent, she goes, well, that's horrid. That is most foul. Most foul.
That is outstanding.
I love it. So she had me try on a silver.
I really pictured you in a white suit, I gotta say.
It's not over yet. So she had me try under the blue suit. She had me try on I don't even know how to describe it, like a silver fish scale shiny.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And so I came out wearing that, and she said, she goes, oh, that is just most foul. Most foul. Now I have a decision
I'm terribly sorry. That's awful.
But she loved it.
Yeah.
And so we'll see which one she picks. And because the show is called Disaster, and since I'm the resident asshole of the show.
Indeed.
My character is anyway.
We like to call him that at work, too, occasionally.
Yeah. The resident asshole character of the show. Things keep happening to me.
Right.
So I go and, things happen to the jacket and the shirt. And by the end of the show, I don't want to give anything away. Maybe after
It's about the Titanic, isn't it?
Show. No.
Oh, I keep thinking it's about. Oh, no, it's right. It's a common.
It's a floating casino built on the pier. So anyway, that was hilarious last night. Then I had to go sing, and then I was behind everybody and didn't know where the hell I was. But anyway, that's what I have to go do tonight. After this is
at 9:00.
Yeah.
So let's backtrack. So the allusion to the makeup artist is, I don't remember her name. Do you remember her name?
No.
All right, so I'm sorry.
Matt Davis can post it in comments.
My daughter watches this show called Skin Wars, which ran for 3 seasons. It was a RuPaul-sponsored thing, and it was basically about body painting. And it was about these body painters from all across the country. They'd get together, have contests, and then they, other shows, whittle it down to one, and that person was the champion. Well, the makeup artist was a judge on one of the shows, and for the life of me, I can't remember her name, but Annabelle was really into the show. I mean, she's watched it probably all 3 seasons, probably 3 or 4 times. She really enjoyed it. I mean, it really sparked her artistic
We'll try
interests.
to affect a meeting.
Yeah, I think she would. She'd probably be very shy. She's so socially awkward. It's crazy. So you've got rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
And when does the show actually go on?
I believe it's the last 2 weekends of November, and we've added another show because we have to be COVID cognizant.
Yeah, that's right.
So you can. Families can sit together, but other than that, you separate between seats and then rows. So we've added a second show on Saturday, which, So it goes Friday, Saturday, 2 shows on Saturday, and then Sunday for several weekends. And the last weekend, I think, is the first weekend in November. So it's fun. It's funny. It's just a send up of all the disaster shows of the 70s.
Right.
The 70s music is fantastic. There are actually 2 songs I never heard of before. But like I have to sing one of those 2 called "Do You Want to Make Love" by Paul Kramer, something like that.
No, Paul, I know who you're talking about.
Carrion, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I've never heard of it before, but I have to sing it.
Yeah.
And
That's encouraging.
yes, and I get to sing it to a young reporter, and in that same conversation I get to ask, "Are those real?" Exactly that. Yeah. And
he's going to do really well at this. Now, the thing he has done is he's sort of undersold where he's doing this. So the the installation has a function called KMC on Stage, which is run by the MWR folks.
Right.
And it's an incredibly professional theater. I mean, as he noted, there are costumers and makeup artists, and they have auditions. It's a community theater, and it's very well run, and it's got its own building, and it's got its own infrastructure, and it's really, really well done. And when he decided he was going to do this, which I encouraged him greatly, I thought about getting back into community theater too, but then
which I encourage greatly.
Yeah, and I just figured out I had too much shit going on, so I really it reminds me of the best community theater I was ever at was a place in Panama City, Florida called the Kaleidoscope Theater, which is still run by the same great people and still acted in by, I checked on them like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. Still a lot of the same people representing there, and I just had a lot of fun there, really professional. I mean, I did the whole gamut, set decoration, tech, acting, the whole thing. And I do miss that from time to time, but I've just got, with building the comic book and everything else, it's just, but it's a great deal for service members, civilians, and anyone who takes part in it. And it's another fantastic thing, free plug, that our MWR folks do for us on a fairly regular basis.
The MWR here is fan-friggin-tastic.
It's fired up. They have a great leader,
really
and all their people are fired up, and they do really, really good work. So, plans for the weekend?
Well, usually somewhere in the weekend is playing golf.
Right.
Doesn't look like that's going to happen this weekend. The weather looks foul and not in a good way.
It's been cool, though. I'll take
man.
You said you were cold in the
I've been cold
today.
all day.
I had the office window open yesterday, and I was letting all that breeze in, and it just felt amazing. And Stefan's like, fuck, it's cold.
Yeah, even the boss said it's cold. It's
It
cold.
is cold as shit in here. So, anyway.
I'm hoping summer's not over yet.
No, there's no way it's over.
But it is getting to September.
Tail end of August. This would be still summer, and then we'd go into September, October in California. We would have the Santa Ana winds. So that's what would be coming up on that.
2 hurricanes hitting Louisiana, Texas,
Are
Louisiana.
they both Texas, Louisiana, right?
Yeah, Texas, Louisiana, and
I think
2020.
there's another storm out in the Pacific that's supposed to be, or in the Atlantic rather, that's supposed to be named something funny. But hurricanes are never funny when they strike. So,
no,
but it's not Karen. I think it's something else. But it's something you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. For
Somebody said
Nana. That's what it was.
Oh, Nana.
Nana's coming to visit.
coming to visit. They should have named the 2 hurricanes in the Gulf Coast right now. One of them is Laura.
Yeah.
They should have named the other one Luke.
Yeah, Luke. We mentioned. Yeah, that's too funny. You're listening to This Show is a JK. I'm Jason Tudor. Thanks for joining us along. We're going to get right into the quiz now. So this week's 9 quiz. We do a quiz for every Tuesday audio-only show. We usually just try to find a random topic. We usually give each other about 2 or 3 days' notice, but I've been a little remiss. I gave Keith about 4 hours' notice, but I picked something that I thought he would have some knowledge about, or he could at least give a wild-ass guess on and get right. So tonight's topic
Go ahead, sorry.
is Dallas Cowboys wide receivers.
Every answer is going to be Michael Irvin.
He thinks. But there are Michael Irvin questions, so I think that is fair. Are you ready, sir?
I guess. I don't want to lose my Dallas Cowboy fan card.
All right, if you're scoring at home, use a ballpoint pen and a piece of paper. And if you're scoring at home, good for you. All right, so here's question 1. What Cowboys wide receiver has his own line of hats?
Michael Irvin.
Incorrect, sir.
Wait.
You're probably wearing one. You should probably take that off and take a look at it.
No, this is a.
Oh, it's a New Balance. Okay.
Yeah.
He made a shit ton of money off of them, by the way. I don't know if he might have sold the company, but he got into that right afterward. He was a good businessman. I think he followed
Troy Aikman.
Wide receiver.
Wide receiver. Sorry. No, sorry.
Seriously.
Let me alone.
Troy Aikman.
I don't know.
Drew Pearson.
See,
and you're old enough to know Drew Pearson.
I'm old enough to.
Yeah, he had his own line of hats. He did very, very well with those.
I did not know that.
You know, to Keith's credit, he said he was out here and he was just, riffing, and he said, we're going to do a quiz on all the plants that are in your backyard. And I said, great, let's do it. All 9 answers are going to be this. Fuck if I know. He'll go, what is this yellow, blah, 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 scientific name? Fuck if I know. That's going to be the answer. So, all right. Question 2. Who is the Cowboys' all-time receiver in yards?
Alvin Harper. Michael Irvin.
No, but I'll give you one more try.
In yards?
Yards. Which is not a thing we deal with too often here in Europe, but yes, yards.
Des Bryant.
Nope, Jason Witten is the leader.
He's not a receiver. He's a tight end.
Tight ends count, bitch.
You didn't say that.
Whatever. Would you have answered Jason Witten? No.
Yes.
No, you wouldn't have. Liar.
Maybe.
It's
Jay Saldy.
It is Oakland Raider Jason Witten.
Oh, you kill me with that. It's Las Vegas Raider.
It's Raiders. Okay, so when I typed it in, it changed it to Feeder Lamb, but CeeDee Lamb was the second Oklahoma player taken in the first round by the Dallas Cowboys ever. Who was the first Oklahoma player taken by the Dallas Cowboys ever? Hint, he's not on offense.
So not a receiver.
Well, the question has a receiver in it.
Oh.
So this is not a receiver.
Tony Casillas.
No. I'll give you
No.
Leroy Selman played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yes.
Sir.
Hold on, I'm going on defense. Shut up. Roy.
Close. He's almost there.
Superman. They call him Superman.
I'm going to Disney.
Williams.
Yeah, Roy Williams is correct. Yes, safety Roy Williams is the first one. All right, here's your Michael Irvin question. You ready? Number 4. How many siblings does Michael Irvin have, and where does he fall in line in the... Which means he has more than one.
I think he has 8 siblings.
Not even close.
4?
Not even close.
16?
Close.
13?
You said 3. All right, so he has 18 siblings.
Sweet Jesus.
He is number 15. And one of the nice stories that he talked about was...
I should have answered that with fuck if I know.
Now, he has had his challenges, of course, where he's, different things. But I guess he was also a bit homophobic at some point.
Mm.
And he had a brother who was a homosexual who died. And he said that when he finally woke up to the notion that, people need to be treated like people. So I thought that was... Anyway, he has 18 brothers and sisters, if that helps you.
Good
He's
Lord.
from Fort Lauderdale.
Didn't help me at all.
You've got to know this one. Because I bet you cried or bitched or yelled to the gods or whatever. So here we go. Number 5, what is the Des Bryant rule?
It's the catch from the Green Bay Packers game. That if you take one step after catching the ball, it's considered a catch.
Close enough. So the Des Bryant rule is if a player goes to the ground in the act of catching a pass, which is what he did, with or without contact by an opponent, he must maintain control of the ball until after his initial contact with the ground, whether in the field of play or the end zone, which is some really fucked up legalese. I mean, a catch is a catch. Honestly, I think they should just take that language out and say, what is a catch? The referee on the field decides if it's a catch and let it go. I like the human element sometimes. I like the human element of calling balls and strikes. I don't need a computer to tell me. I like that a human can decide, even if he or she is wrong. I like the human element of saying, that's a catch. And they could replay it a million times ago. But who cares? The human made the call. And to an extent, although soccer does have, I think, a stronger replay system, and now soccer has said the human decides if it's a goal. I like that humans play the game and humans decide on balls and strikes.
And we saw how well the challenge review did last year, where 10% of the challenges were overturned.
So sick of that. I mean, I get it. I understand the need to get the call right, and that's all. Oh, we got to get the call right. That's what the color guy says. Aside from settle down, settle in, which is my other stupid favorite thing to say. They've really got to settle down. They've got to just settle in. They've got to settle down. Settle in. Settle down. I'm so sick of it. But I don't disagree that there are very important calls during a game that have to be. You've got to. But on the other hand, which is I suppose why you can only do it so many times. But I'm a big fan of human beings should call the game, and if they're furious at that human being for the 1,000 years because he missed it, then fuck it.
Yeah. I don't disagree.
All right, number 6. This is one of your guys, so you better know this one. What height did Jay Novacek clear pole vaulting in high school that is still a state record in South Dakota?
Fuck if I know. Let's say I'm just gonna wag here.
Wagging is good. I give you 3 wags. You can say
17 feet.
Close. 2 more.
19 feet.
Lower.
15 and a half feet.
15 feet is correct. 15 feet 1 inch, which is still apparently the record in South Dakota for Jay Novacek.
Jay Novacek, which was.
I was thinking Jay Novacek's father was a veteran too, but I don't think that's right.
Novacek was Aikman's. Novacek was to Aikman what Witten was to Romo.
Right, but Irvin was his number 1 receiver.
Oh yeah.
Right. All right, you're not going to get this one, but I'll ask it anyway. And if you're a Michigander, this one's for you. All right, okay. Number 7. What Michigan State tight end, older, is recognized as that college's greatest receiver? Hint, he's a Cowboys wide receiver or tight end.
He is or was?
Was. I mean, he's retired, obviously. He's older.
Golden Richards.
No.
Michigan State.
It will make sense as to why I said something earlier, which I'll explain. If you don't know, just say it.
Fuck if I know.
So you remember when I was looking for Billy White Shoes Johnson?
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought he was a Cowboy.
No, he's an Oiler.
Right. Yeah, I know. But it's Billy Joe Dupree.
Oh.
Who I sort of remember, but I don't remember as well as some of the older Cowboys.
Tight end, yeah.
But anyway, a little Michigan State nod for those of you in Michigan State. By the way, did you see that thing I posted and later took off this morning about the frat house?
Yes.
I won't repeat it. Anyway, frat houses doing bad things without masks on. All right. Number 8. I love these questions I ask you. What Cowboys receiver is a big investor in the Elite Football League of India? How about that shit? You didn't even know there was a league in India, did you?
Michael Irvin.
Michael Irvin is correct.
I only said Michael Irvin because I knew there was more than one Michael Irvin.
There was, yeah. That's the best way to go. He did say there were 2. That's got to be it. That's a good way. Yeah, it's Michael Irvin. I have no idea what the Elite Football League of India is. I believe that it's still the most popular sport in India, Sri Lanka, and a couple other places is still cricket.
Cricket, right.
Right, cricket is huge.
And is it football as we know it?
It's football.
Is it?
Yeah. I remember.
Those are small teams.
I don't know if I told the story on here or not, but when I went to Norway to cover some stories for the Air Force, and I found out that they actually have American football leagues in Sweden and Norway. Sweden specifically, they have a 35 or a 36 team league, or they had. This was a while back. But in Norway, they'd also formed like an 18-team football league. So one of the NCOs, non-commissioned officers I spoke with, who I was doing another story about, he tells me this. So at least, of course, that's another story, so I'm going to write that too.
Right.
And we're just talking, and I write the story. And part of the notes that I didn't use, he said, was, the Norwegian people are huge, 6'5", 6'6",
right.
A lot of weight, but they're very non-aggressive. Like, they don't want to just knock a guy over. Keith is going to get up and let the cat in. They don't want to knock a guy over. They don't want to be aggressive. That's fine. Just crack it a little. And knock somebody over. That's not in their nature. So they have to teach them this aggressive nature in order for them to play football. So I thought that was really interesting. So, but anyway, the Elite Football League of India does not sound like a good investment.
No, that sounds like something I could play in. Or not, maybe not now. I'm not nearly as fast as I used to be.
Probably be a killer speedster. All right, last question, and I have no bonus question tonight because, as you know, I organized this 10 minutes into when we were supposed to be recording the show.
Before you go on to that, I remember in the 70s, and I know a lot of military units did or installations did, but I remember watching the Wiesbaden Flyers, made up of airmen, blue suit airmen, capital A airmen, play against Kaiserslautern or Ramstein or whatever in like an intra-league base football team kind of way.
Right.
Very cool. Very cool. I wish
a
they
lot
still
more
had
bodies
that.
over here.
Yeah.
All right, last question, which is local. What former local German football team was Alvin Harper a coach for? That's a Cowboys wide receiver.
I know who Alvin Harper is.
Although I had to ask his name, and
I
Keith
couldn't
didn't know
come
it
up
either.
with his name.
We both had to I had to fall across it. I'm like, who was the guy who ran alongside Michael Irvin, who ran the long fast routes and caught the long bombs? Alvin Harper. Later went to Tampa Bay. Yada yada yada. Anyway, local German team that Alvin Harper was a coach for.
The Frankfurt Dragon?
No, but that's a good guess. Related to dragons.
I don't know.
Fire. The Rhine Fire.
Rhine
He was a coach
Fire.
on the Rhine Fire for I don't know how long. He also had a stint with New Orleans, I think, for a bit. And I don't know what he's doing now. Probably like a lot of football players, not very well.
Wow.
So, average lifespan of a football player, in case you're interested, is still about 3.5 years.
Right.
It's not the Peyton Mannings of the world and the Drew Breeses of the world. Those guys are rare. Especially if you're playing O-line or D-line or something like that. All right. So that's we had an intensely sporty show tonight, but
We did.
I always try to make quiz questions that we can all relate to. Versus how many points per game did Jay Novacek achieve while
So
I like
I'm
it.
wondering. I think we've reached our new tagline.
Uh-oh.
Fuck if I know.
That's not bad. Strasvucia, bitches. That's the opener, and fuck if I know. You listen to that podcast? Fuck if I know.
Speaking of which, act like I haven't told you this before.
All right.
So we played golf, and we've mentioned these guys on the air right after we played with them.
Yeah.
The two military policemen from Ramstein
Yep.
happened to join us, and we mentioned that the guy's partner. We were on hole number 3, and all of a sudden we hear this honk, and he's speeding through this the traffic circle to get, and then comes flying down the fairway to reach us on the next hole. And we thought, oh Jesus, what are we going to get with
Right.
here? But turns out some of the funnest guys
Oh, they were great.
we've ever
Great
played
golfers.
with.
In fact, the guy who rolled up like a bat out of hell, he was
Really good golfer.
a really good golfer. I mean, he had a real golf swing and a real golf shot. He was no joke good.
And they were going the next weekend, which was that July 4th weekend?
Yeah, I think so.
Or
Spain, right?
Yeah, they were going to Spain to play golf.
Yeah.
Young airmen, have nothing better to do with their money. And but I ran into them Friday.
Right.
I took Friday afternoon off, and I jumped out and played 9 holes. And as I was going back to my car, I hear, "What's up, boss?" Well, I know they must be talking to me. So I turn around, and there's these guys, and they go, "Hey, how's it going?" I say, "Hey, good. How are you?" And they banter, golf talk, blah, blah, blah. And they say, "Hey, by the way, you guys still doing your podcast?" I say, "Oh, yeah. Yeah, in fact, doing one this Sunday night." He said, "Hey, we listened to the one that you guys did after we played golf." He said, "It was fucking funny, dude." So, hey,
We do go for the funny.
what more do you want?
Yeah, we do go for the funny.
And
so.
if they happen to listen, I've played with different people every week, so I don't remember their names. Matt and Eric, something like that. I don't know, and I apologize.
One of the great things is our podcast is kind of local, so we need to promote it more in the local places too, and maybe do a little more local stuff. But we talk about golf enough that Ramstein should probably give us our greens fees for free, although you're already a member. So also their MWRs run very well, and when you get here, you realize that the Army and the Air Force are two separate things run differently that try to cooperate, and it's not just one force. And the sooner you realize that, the easier it is for you to live your life. What else you got?
That's all I've got.
That's all I've got too. So we will wrap this up. It's been a great day. Another 3D print came out very well that we're staring at. The 3D printing is going exceptionally well. I'm very happy with what's happening there, but can't wait to show this to the client that I have and the thing that I printed for our birthday boy who has a birthday in 2
Yes.
days. I'm excited to give that to him.
Speaking of which, birthdays.
Yep, and my daughter Annabelle's birthday will be the day after that we record this podcast. Can't believe she's 15 years old. It's unbelievable.
I know, it's
but
crazy, isn't it?
She wanted a lot of she's really into manga and anime, so I broke the bank and got her something pretty cool today.
Nice.
And she's been getting a lot of other little stuff. So, but
You are the peanut butter to my chocolate.
all right.
Or something like that.
Something like that. All right. So anyway, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you for joining us so we can get Keith off to rehearsal. Once again, the usual stuff. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, radio.com, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Google Play, which is becoming YouTube Music soon. We all got this notice saying that. Not that I'm a subscriber, but apparently if you're an Android user, Google Play is becoming YouTube Music. So YouTube bogarting that whole thing, trying to take advantage of all that content that it has. In any case, subscribe. Don't forget we do a live show, although that might be on hiatus starting today until we can figure out if we can get to it, or maybe this becomes the live show, although that would be weird for you. But we'll figure it out. And we appreciate any feedback and leaving reviews. Don't forget, I've got a book for sale. It's called 7 from the System. It's on sale at Amazon.com. You can pick up your copy right now. It's $6.99 for the print, $4.99 for the Kindle. I've also got 3 comic books for sale. You can go to my website, jasontudor.com. All the links are there for those.
And I'm selling my body.
I'm working on the 4th one right now, and Keith's body will not be in it. Anything else?
No.
All right.
Have a great week.
Have a good rehearsal, and thank you all for listening. We really do appreciate it.
Please share.
And share this wonderful podcast we've done. Take care of yourselves. We'll talk to you
Bye.
soon. Bye.